Don Mazzella here again for Small Business Digest. A couple of days ago, I got something across my desk from a PR person about a site called Booksy. And it is something I had seen occasionally in the past, being a writer myself. And I said, we should have Sal Nasisi in the program to talk about how Booksy can help us, a small business leader. So he's here today to talk about how Booksy can help small businesses. And Sal, thank you for joining us.
Don, thanks so much for having me on. It's great to be here.
Sal, as we ask all our guests, first tell us a little bit about your personal background, and then a little bit about Booksy, and finally the website itself and how people can reach it.
Sure. So I grew up in a neighborhood with a bunch of kids on the street, and we were very involved in building things. We built forts, we built go-karts out of lawnmowers, we built model rockets. So we were really very hands-on and liked to create. And then in high school, joined a band. We put a rock band together, and we would play out shows. And so I was really into kind of creating things and got more and more into the creative process. And part of that too was writing. I like to write. I like to express myself that way. I found it was a way that I could control things, unlike in a band or even in a business. It's sort of just you and the paper, and it allowed me to focus my thoughts. And so I would read a lot and I would write a lot. And over time, I went to school. I got a business degree, and so I was very business focused. But I never sort of lost that desire to kind of express myself creatively. And then I was working at a big bank, one of the biggest in the country, and I thought to myself, gee, what am I doing here? I've always wanted to be entrepreneurial. I wanted to be creative, and I'm working at a huge bank. And so I left the bank and I actually started a couple of different companies. One was in the financial space, kind of keeping with that banking background. And the other was in the creative space. And so I created a site that was the forerunner of Booksy. It's called The Next Big Writer. And then about a year or two later, I spun out Booksy as sort of an experiment. And it married that business side, the technology side, because I started to also be very interested in technology, as well as the creative side. And yeah, that's kind of how it all started, and it's been quite a journey since then.
Well, that be the case, Sal, but exactly does Booksy do? Um,
Yeah. So Booksy is a platform that allows writers, we like to say it allows writers to tell their story. And it does it in a bunch of different ways. First, it allows writers to publish their work, their writing on the platform and share it with the world, just sort of the way YouTube does it with video. Booksy does it with written content. And so you can go and you can post your novels, your short stories, your poetry, articles, essays, really any kind of written format onto the platform, and it'll appear. It's free of charge to do it. It'll appear. It'll be go out on the search engines. You can share it on social. And so it provides writers with an audience. Writers who haven't had an audience, it provides them with one. Because when I was young and I was thinking about writing, I would write, books. I'd write short stories, and I wouldn't really know what to do with them. I would submit them to literary magazines, and I didn't do that. I didn't submit that many because I really didn't have the time. But they would mostly just sit either in my drawer when I was doing it by hand, or they would sit on my computer. And so Booksy was the answer to that. It's really a way for writers to get that content out and share it with everyone around them and share it with the world. And there's really a global audience. We have readers from almost every country in the world. Anywhere there's internet access, we have readers. We have writers from almost every country in the world. So it's a really global platform that allows people to share the written word with each other. It allows readers to come and find new and upcoming writers, and writers to find their audience. So there's that sort of ability to share content and post your story. There's also the ability to network with other writers. There are message threads, there are message boards. People can come in, they can interact with one another. They can have discussions around different aspects of writing. How do I market my work? How do I develop my characters? Different kinds of discussions like that are happening all the time. Then there's also the ability for writers to promote work that they've published on sites like Amazon or Barnes and Noble or any of the other sites that are out there, any of the retail book sites. So we have tie-ins to each of those platforms, and writers can put their book up there. We have the Booksy bookstore, where writers can put their books that they've published up there and promote them also. So those are some of the key things that writers on our site are doing. But it's really a way for writers to express themselves, to get their content out there, and to connect with readers who are interested in finding new and interesting literature and new and interesting content.
Well, before we go any further, how do you, uh, can you spell out Booksy? Because it's a very interesting way of writing it.
Yeah, it's Booksie. So it has the book in it, but then we added the C to make it, to make it a little bit unique and original. So, and the story behind that is I actually had a roommate in business school who his last name was Books, and we used to call him Booksy, and he liked books also. And so when I was thinking of the right name for the site, I thought back to him, and that's where Booksy came from. And then I searched to see if it was available, and lo and behold, it was, and that became the name of the site. So that's sort of the little tidbit, a little history of it.
Booksy.com.
Yes, thanks. Booksy.com.
Okay, let's stop here and talk. This show is about small business. Now, I know that everybody wants to write a book on now, but how does it benefit small business and a small business owner to work with you?
Yeah, I think there are a couple ways that a small business owner could benefit. The first is if you really want to show that you have expertise in an area, you can do it. A lot of ways people do that is by writing a book or by writing content and putting it out there where people can read it, and then you can point to that content to show your expertise. So it builds the authority of the person. So we have a lot of people who are on the site who aren't necessarily writing creatively. They might write nonfiction, and the nonfiction might be tied into whatever their business is. And so it's a way of building that authenticity. And then the site has tools to help these writers. Like I said, we make it easy for them to post. It's kind of almost, I wouldn't say it's one click, but one of the philosophies that we've had is to try to make it as easy as possible for people to go ahead and execute and get the word out. So it's relatively easy to get your work up there. We have analytics that show where people are coming from. So if you're running a small business and you're trying to attract a certain audience by putting out content, you could see where people are coming from and hopefully try to match the book with where people are, where you want to attract an audience. We have a lot of search engine optimization that's going on. We're always fine-tuning search, so we're attracting people that way. We have tie-ins, as I mentioned, with Amazon. So if you've actually published a book to try to build that credibility and authenticity, then you could link that audience you've developed over to Amazon, and they could buy the book. So we've tried to make it a one-stop shop where people can go ahead and sort of build their intellectual, credible profile. That's the other thing. We have a profile that you get that, once again, you don't have to do a lot of work to create. You just kind of choose an image and it automatically gets created for you. So small business owners are busy. They have a lot of time. We've tried to make it as simple as possible for them to go ahead and put their content out there and start building that audience through their knowledge and their passion. I'd say the second way that we sort of can help small business owners is that, look, we all need to feed that sort of creative part of ourselves. And, when you're working in a small business, it can become all consuming. And sometimes it's nice to be able to step back and do something creative. A lot of people, play music or listen to music or read, but a lot of people like to write also. As you mentioned, everybody's writing a book. And so Booksy hopefully is one way that writers can activate that creativity and can get in touch with that side of them. So maybe it's a way to recharge and relax a little bit and go in a little different direction than what someone has to deal with 23 hours out of the day. Maybe it's that 1 hour where they're able to pursue something that they're kind of creatively passionate about. So I know I hear from writers on the site that that's the way that they use it. We have, you know, all kinds of small businesses. We have doctors, we have lawyers, we have all professionals. And the thing that's common about all of them is they all like to write, or they all have something that they want to say, some story that they want to tell.
Well, I published a short story on your site. Who owns the copyright?
You own the copyright. We do not take any copyright, so it's totally yours.
Oh, okay. Um, the other question I have, many people are reluctant, you know, they write, but they're always afraid of having other people look at it, look at their work. How do you help them get over that hurdle?
Yeah, I think that you know, we try to address that a little bit through our messaging. We let people know that for some, this is a big step that they're taking. And it can be nerve-wracking to share your work for the first time, for sure. We try to create a community that is supportive of one another. So in our message boards, there's a lot of discussion about that, and a lot of people kind of cheering each other on and providing that kind of support so that people feel more comfortable doing it. You know, we try to make it so the work is as protected as can be, so people can't copy paste from our site. We try to let people know that they, as you mentioned, own their own copyrights, that they don't give up ownership of it. And we try to let people know that, you know, the world's a better place if you're sharing your work with others and sharing your ideas. And it's just keeping it on your hard drive. It's kind of a loss. So those are some things those are some messages that we try to get across. We also have writing contests to hopefully spur people on and provide motivation. And so we're running one right now with National Story Week in conjunction with that, so that people start to see other people sharing. And I think that's part of it too. When you start to see others sharing, it maybe lowers your own barriers a little bit and provides an extra level of comfort.
Your website again, spelling it out for our audience, please.
Booksie, BOOKSIE.com.
Mm-hmm. You know, but well, let's also talk. I've written and published and have published 7 or 8 books. Now I'm going on your site because I have a new trilogy coming out with a major publisher. But uh, but I'm a small business and I look at it and I say, "Gee, I'm the world's expert on widgets. How do I um, use that knowledge on Booksy to to help me sell my knowledge?"
Yeah, I mean, I think that, you know, you have the book that's written about it, let's say on widgets, but there are also sort of side articles that you could write. And those side articles, you know, whether it's an article about green widgets or about red widgets or about how widgets are manufactured or the right shape for widgets. You know, there are a lot of different angles that someone could take. And all of those articles will be sent out. You know, it sort of becomes content marketing. Those articles will go out there, they'll be indexed. People will start to come. You can share it on social media. That'll build more traffic to your page. And then over time, you'll start to become known both on the site and via Google as the expert on widgets. And so you can then link your profile over to Amazon so people can buy your book. There's a way people can donate to you. And we have another way coming soon where people will be able to monetize their content through ownership of books, through limited edition books. But all of those ways will help you to increase your profile, increase your traffic, and then also ultimately sell more of what you've published.
You one book that I always want to publish is about my childhood, Italian American childhood. Do you have books like that in your
Yeah, sort of biographies or autobiographies. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we have a lot of people who have written books about growing up, about certain parts of their life. A lot of people I think, are really interested in that sort of autobiographical genre. And they write them for themselves, they write them for their family, and they also write them for the general audience. I was reading one book the other day about a gentleman who had moved to Japan to teach school there, I think after World War II. And he met his wife and wound up spending, the next 30 or 40 years in Japan. And so it was his story of that time. So there are quite a few books that revolve around that. And those are popular. People like to get those views into other people's lives and how they've kind of lived them and the places that they've been and the adventures that they've had. And I know that it's real. And I think the other interesting thing about Booksy is like some of the books are very well edited and produced and what you would expect to see if you go to a bookstore. But there's a lot of content there, and it's really up to the writer to decide that's more raw, that people have put out there. They want to tell their story. They maybe don't have total command of all the grammar. They haven't spent all the time to edit it, but it's still a really good story. And the rawness makes it almost different in some ways. You kind of are brought into their life and you read things and see things that you wouldn't normally get from a traditional publisher or a traditional bookstore or library.
hmm. Well, I'm going to ask you the question. How do you make money?
Yeah, so there are a couple ways that we do. Like I said, the basic service on Booksy is free. So you can come on and you can publish your work for free. You can publish as much as you want. So there one of the ways that we make money is through premium services. And so you can upgrade your account. And when you upgrade your account, that allows you to link your account over to Amazon and to sell books, to promote your Amazon books on Booksy. It puts it into the Booksy bookstore. It allows you to take any book that you're trying to promote and put it into any articles you've published. So it gives it increased visibility. You get advanced analytics, so you can see where people are coming from, and you can see where they're going in your account. You can also get discounts on entering contests. You get access to our new AI tool, which goes through and reviews your content and gives you feedback on what's good about it and what could be improved. So there are a whole host of different features that you get with our premium service. The other way we make money is through contests. We run contests pretty frequently. Some of them are free, some of them are charged. We actually don't make a ton. We generate revenue on it, but once you factor in the prizes and the cost of managing the contest and reading through the entries, we don't make a lot, but it's a way of kind of promoting the website. We do make some money on advertising, so we have some limited ads if you're not a premium member. So our free members basically see limited ads. And then we also allow people to boost their work on the site and promote any books that they've published. And so there are spots on the site where you might see work that's featured, and writers basically pay to do that. So those are the ways that we make some money from it.
Do you have the ability to recommend editors for people, or?
We haven't done so much of that. We sometimes get requests for people to recommend an editor, and we kind of have a list of editors that we've worked with in the past, but we don't have a formal system for doing that.
Hmm.
Hasn't been something that we've really spent a lot of time on.
Well, I don't want to linger on that. It's just people. It's always a question people ask. But let's go back and spend the remainder of our time. So I, I'm a small business owner. I come to you and say, Sal, I need help. I know what I'm doing, but I want to somehow get it out. What are some of the questions you ask that person, or that person should be asking to use Booksy to a greater effort effect?
Yeah. So, I mean, Booksy is a really small commitment in terms of money. It doesn't cost even the like I said, most of it is free. The premium service is, right now about $50 a year. So we're talking like a pretty inexpensive investment. I think the things that writers should consider is, do they want an easy platform to sort of showcase their writing? Do they want to try to build an audience through it? Because it's not, I mean, it doesn't happen magically, right? You have to invest a little bit of time in putting up your stories and sharing it on social media, on meeting other people on the site and being social. It's not just leave post it and forget it. There's a little bit of nurturing that you have to do also. So I would say, are you willing to put in the time to do that? Just like any author, writing it is just the first part of it. Promoting is a whole nother sort of part of the process. Right? I can see you smiling, so you know that. But Booksy is a great site, but it's not magic. It's not going to all of a sudden make someone a bestseller. It's a tool that they can use. And so I would say, are you willing to put in the time to do that? And are you ready with your writing to put it out there and put it on a platform that will share it widely across the world? And I think if writers say yes to all of those, then they're ready to do it. And it's probably a good place for them to add their work and to use as a promotional base. So then the writers have their own websites, and if they do, that's great. That doesn't preclude them from using Booksy. They can actually the two can work together pretty well. Booksy can send traffic to their personal website. If they don't have a personal website, then Booksy can become that personal website pretty easily. So those are the types of things that we discuss with a lot of the authors that come on to the platform. And those are the types of questions that we get.
So we'll just about come to the end. Your website one more time and spelling it, and then
Booksy, yep. Booksy.com, BOOKSIE.com.
okay, and you have about a minute. What would you like to leave our audience with?
Yeah, so I would just let the audience know that we've been around for 18 years and we're continuing to grow. We are a supportive platform for writers. We welcome anyone who has a story that they want to tell, whether it's fiction, nonfiction. We just added our AI tool, and we're doing a lot of experimentation with how AI can help writers, not help you write your work, because we don't really want that, but help you in the process, help you provide feedback, help you with outlining, help serve as a tool that can make your writing easier and better. We're soon going to be adding integration with our limited editions, which is based on blockchain technology. And so we're really kind of pushing the envelope of what we want to do in the writing world. And we really want to, like I said, help writers tell their story in a way that's easy and provides writers with the tools to get better and hopefully reach their goals.
Well, so Nasisi. Did I
Yeah,
pronounce it correct?
yeah,
Oh,
you got it.
all right. So thank you so much for a really great half hour. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. It was great to be here, and I really appreciate it. Have a nice one.